Hey, Chad Peterman here, your host of the Can't Stop the Growth podcast, a show that advances the home services industry and beyond. In this exclusive series, I've joined forces with Camp Digital to bring you powerful learnings that advance you and your business in the realm of all things marketing. Together, we bring content that empowers you to build a positive, healthy workplace for you, your people, and your bottom line. So let me officially pass the mic to Camp Digital for today's episode, chock full of insights that you can take and apply to your growth. Now listen and grow.
Welcome to Around the Campfire. I'm Katie Donovan, CEO of Camp Digital, and I'm excited to share conversations with real home service business owners and executives. Some of my favorite people who I think are the industry's top leaders, innovators, and trailblazers. Each episode, we dive into stories behind successful home services businesses, the wins, the challenges, and everything in between. Our goal, to share real stories from real people. So grab a seat around the campfire and let's get started. I am so excited for today of all days. This one, buckle up, get ready, bring your pens and paper. I am joined by a client, a friend, and somebody who I think is probably one of the greatest in the space, Mr. Jason Price, who is the Director of Marketing at My Plumber PLUS, now a Sela company. Jason, honestly, it's late there. Thank you so very, very much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. What an intro. Thanks, Katie.
Yeah, now you got to live up to it. If this is boring, it's all your fault at this point.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
No, listen, I'm excited. I was saying just before we got on here and started recording to everybody that I tell people all the time, if they're not following you on social media, on LinkedIn, in different places, they're missing out, because you drop little amazing tidbits on the regular. So definitely someone people should follow if you're not already.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for saying that, Katie.
To get started, can you tell us, Jason, just a little bit, tell us about your background. How did you get into this space? I like to brag about how much you know, but how did you get into marketing to the home services, the service industry?
Yeah, it was not a linear path. I actually I went to school for business and I started in tech. And then I transitioned into hospitality and tourism. And I was there for, I don't know, about 17 years or so. And the pandemic hit. And guess what people weren't doing when the pandemic hit? Was traveling, right? Tourism. It wasn't happening. So I had to pivot. And, I was looking at what were those business sectors that were actually thriving during that time. And to be honest, the trades, although I have family members in the trades, it wasn't necessarily top of mind for me. And you know what it was? It was Kelly Pressgrave.
Oh, yeah.
You know Kelly.
Love Kelly. Love Kelly. Work with your hands, for anyone who doesn't know. Yep. Amazing.
100%. So I get a call from Kelly, a recruiter. This is her company, Work with Your Hands, with a Z. I'd highly recommend anybody check her out. Check
Absolutely.
the company out. And so she made the connection, and I realized that, the trades, plumbing, electrical, HVAC, it's been around forever. Plumbing's been around thousands of years. You're always going to need a plumber. You're always going to need these things. And so it was not only an interesting pivot from that standpoint, but I connected with some amazing people who at My Plumber Plus. And so essentially that's how the transition happened.
I did not know, and this explains so much. So I met you when you were coming out of hospitality into the trades, working at My Plumber Plus, but I didn't know you had the tech background. That explains so very much. I always think about you in the backgrounds, because for anyone who doesn't know, in addition to technology and being a technological genius and an AI genius, which we're going to get into, and a marketing genius, you're also a badass guitar player, for anyone who can't see from over your shoulders. Anyone might be listening. So is there anything you can't do? I should probably start there.
I don't know. I think what it is I'm curious, and I get involved in a bunch of different things. So I'm average at a lot of things at the same time, and it just kind of drives up over many years. But yeah, on the tech side of things, it was a software technology company in Northern Virginia. And they were setting up a reseller channel. They were selling to the government and they wanted to go into the commercial side of things. And I had like no experience with that. I had a little bit of sales experience before that. And you just jump into it and figure it out. And what I actually learned there was to set up, we set up an advisory group for our software. And what it was I grabbed the best dealers that we had and I'd get them on the phone and ask them questions about what they loved, what needed to be fixed. And we would give them, updates, early updates on new versions, et cetera, et cetera. But I got to learn their business. I got to learn what their needs were. And I was like, boy, I should make note of that. That's a great little tool for kind of jumping ahead when you're new. Right.
Yeah. And that actually leads me to my next question, which I think you're answering, which is, what were some of the early challenges? Was it just learning the space?
You have transferable skills, right, that I built up over the years in marketing, in sales, and management, and PR, and communications, and playing guitar, media, etc. But there's a nuance to the trades, right? It is very nuanced. And when you show up with all this experience and then on your first day they say, hey, we need to get some plumbing calls on the board today. What are you doing?
Amen.
You're like, wait, today, right now? I don't know. Let me think about it.
Yeah. I mean, I can't write a strategic plan that gets approved by the board and then we put it in place next quarter. Yeah, it's like right now. Like 35 minutes
this
ago.
afternoon. Yeah.
Especially with some of your leadership, because I've worked with for many years some of your leadership, and every time I talk to them, like I can think about Phil saying this to me, like, what did you do yesterday? I'm like, oh my God, yesterday? Good look. Yeah, it's intense where you are for sure.
Yeah, so I would say, Katie, to answer your question, it was learning the nuance and taken from that early sort of lesson. I had to find, first of all, I was lucky enough to have mentors right out of the gate and some of the greatest. And you're actually on that list. But the first one's Wendell Pressgrave. So I joined when he was still with the company, he's recently passed away. But Wendell was fantastic. I learned so much from him. One of the things that stood out to me from Wendell was this idea of abundance. He had this abundance mentality. He told me there's plenty of customers out there. There's plenty of success for all of us. So he told me that when even a competitor would come to him and ask for his advice, ask for his insight, his feedback, he'd give it to him. He says there's plenty of customers and success for all of us. And I just loved that about him. And beyond that, he was a fantastic person, just a great guy. And then second mentor, his son, Mark Pressgrave, amazing business person, amazing marketer. I just accelerated my growth. I got the cheat code when I showed up with Mark. And then with Phil, you just mentioned him. Phil Hopkins, he's my boss. He's the general manager of the location now. He is so detail-oriented. He's got an attention to detail. He loves data. He's data-driven. And man, you better come prepared to a meeting with Phil. And so it forced me to get even better at looking at data, diving in, thinking, what is Phil going to ask me that I haven't prepared for? He's always going to get you with something.
Yeah, something.
But if I can get to 80% or maybe 90%, you win. And then Katie, you're on that list. So I'm talking mentors, right? You were 100% on that list. So I joined right when we started with Home and Local Services, Camp Digital, right? And I remember being on those calls with you, peppering you with questions because I had so much to learn. And what you did was you answered all of them and you made me feel like they were good questions, like it was worth your time to help. And you were available on cell phone, still are, like anytime I needed you. So in my growth, you were so and continue to be really, really important. So thank you.
That's amazing company. I wrote down some words when you were saying those names. And when I think about Wendell, who I did not get to meet that often, but know of from reputation and from a few interactions. And immediately the word I wrote down was generous. And I think that comes from your conversation with him about abundance. I think when you think about the world with abundance, you are able to be a lot more generous. And Mark was one of like my favorite people to work with. He was amazing. He is incredibly knowledgeable, but in a way where he doesn't make you feel dumb about not knowing it. I don't know what that word would be for that. And then there's Phil. And like you said, do not come to Phil to try and baffle him with your bullshit, because he will slay you with the data. I mean, he is a solid human, and he's an amazing, really fun guy too. So that's an amazing list to be on. I appreciate it. You also mentioned the advisory board that you had at your previous company, and you've done something kind of similar with that in this space.
Well, so talk about the other thing. So you've got this core mentor group, and then I had to get outside of that group, right? So I needed to start bringing some ideas to the table. And so, you know, I would recommend this to anybody who's new to a business sector, is find some peer groups. And if you can't find them, build some, set them up, figure out who they are. So I reached out heavy into the Nexstar network. They literally, if you're part of the Nexstar network, they literally have a person who is, their job is to find peers for you, right? To get you in these groups. So valuable, because then you have a short list of somebody you could text in the moment and get an answer to a question. Well, here's what they're doing over here, or here's what challenge they're running into. So the peer groups were really, and I'm still in like 3 different peer. I love them. They're great. And they're energizing and fun, and you can, it's a safe place, right? And then I even developed, one on the AI side. One of the things I saw, Katie, was that, I mean, AI's taken off. I was like an early adopter in it. So I'm like, probably because of all these 80s sci-fi movies, like, I'm like, oh my God, it's here. We got to get on this. So because I'm passionate about it, I'm naturally just consuming and learning and trying to get ahead of it. But I was finding that there was interest, but not a lot of people who were really in it in
Jumping
my peer
in.
groups.
Yep.
So I sort of recruited, I actually did a post in the Nexstar network's sort of bulletin board saying, hey, there's only a few spots left. This AI advisory group. It was me and one other person, but only a few spots left. If you're looking,
still true, right? It's still true. It's just
100%
there was 3
true.
spots, right? Yeah.
It's 100% true. But anyway, that group, we still meet and we talk about not only things to do with LLMs and one-on-one with an AI, but also tools in the space like Avoca or Rilla, or the list goes on. There's a lot of great companies that are getting into this space and doing good stuff.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like I said, how I started out, you have really mastered Alicia the Grande. I saw a great quote you'll like the other day, came from the last CES, and they said 2020, let's see if I get it right. 2023 was the year of wow for AI. Have you heard this quote? 2024 was the how for AI, and 2025 is the now for AI. Like you got to be doing it. So
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. That's gonna lead right into the next set of questions I've got for you, which is really kind of more about KPIs. Like, I think AI is great and AI is good, but it's got to solve a problem. And the only way we know if something solves a problem if we can measure it. What are some of the KPIs that you look at, or even KPI indicators, leading indicators, actual KPIs that you look at weekly, monthly, daily?
Yeah. Well, I mean, on the digital side, it's conversion rate, it's click-through rate, it's search loss to budget, search loss to rank. It's all those things that you taught me to look at when we would get on those calls, right? And these little things, if you're watching them, and I'll look at them daily, and in fact, I'll do it weekly and daily. And if I start to see a trend line on individual campaigns there, then I raise my hand, and it's already an agenda item on our next camp meeting, right? And then broader things are like just ROI. marketing percentage spend of revenue. These are kind of little things that from a marketing standpoint, you always want to keep your eye on. But the list goes on and on. And what's nice, Katie, is that you'll have a mystery that pops up and you need to figure it out, right? You had never thought of it before, so there's a mystery. And the good news is we've got with our CRM, you can dig into those data points with Service Titan, with What Converts, which is a tool that Camp offers also, and things like Searchlight that you've recommended to us as well. So there's all these different ways to look at the data. But I think the most important thing is you do you. You figure out what's your KPIs, the most important KPIs for you and what you're trying to do, and look at them often and see if there's a change. And what Phil would say is, he's told me many times, if there's a KPI that's underperforming 3 days in a row, you better be on it.
Yep,
Right?
that's a good point. I like that. That's a good tip. 3 days in a row, you better be on it. So I want to kind of segue, because that's a really good segue about KPIs. And you really are the granddaddy, I think, of a lot of things AI, at least in the home services space. You've been in it and at it longer than most people. How do you decide when you see something where an AI automation might fit? And do you look at the KPI to determine that? Is there an indicator? And then follow up on that is then how do you decide what it is you need to measure to see if that helped? I mean, you had a great one with responding to reviews, which I thought was really great early on. How do you identify it? Do you use a KPI to identify it? And then how do you measure it? Trick question.
Yeah, it's a great question. First thing is, AI didn't really come like ChatGPT, like Google Gemini, they don't come with instructions. Literally, the world is writing the instructions for the AI every day. It's like I'll scroll through at night and go, oh, you can use it for that? You can use it for that. So
and it changes. Today, they just announced the lack of that indexing again. So ChatGPT, I don't know if you saw this, was indexing, right, and sharing. And then today, within like 24 hours, they said, no, now we're blocking it. So the instruction manuals have a lot of crossouts on them, a lot of whiteout, right?
You're 100% right. Literally, I saw a post on that like Monday. On Tuesday morning, I spent a little bit of time at work seeing if I could create on a question. Hey, tell me about
stuff.
Tell me about My Plumber Plus, and then I prompted it to the point where it was this beautiful breakdown of everything that we do, and then I went to share it with everybody. Right, that single post, and that was what was indexing at the beginning of the week. But then it didn't index, and then I start seeing posts like, "Oh, they're on to this game. It's done." So you're right. It's a moving target. So I think it almost starts with what are your needs? Two things. What are your needs? But even before that, if you're taking your time and spending time in the AI, using it, prompting it, asking it questions, you're naturally going to see, can it do this? Can it do this? You got to experiment with it. Then when you start seeing problems, you start realizing, oh, I bet I can use an AI for this. I bet there's a plugin for this. So that's sort of generally how I look at it. And then there are companies that provide these services that are integrated in. So for example, like we have an SMS company we work with called Hatch, similar to Chirp. Chirp is another great company for this too, and they do this also. Hatch not only does SMS automations and email automations, but they also have an AI component, and I believe Chirp does too. And so now you can kind of add a layer of intelligence in what was previously a kind of standard automated workflow, right? And now you can make the choice to make it bookable, right? So you can program the AI and then take the next step to actually drop it into Service Titan or your CRM. So I think a lot of it is not having a fear of making a mistake sometimes, where you just, let's test it. Let's see what's going to happen. What's the worst that could happen? And protect against that, but just try it. So I would say go back to the beginning. Start playing around with AI And start with like ChatGPT or Gemini or something. Get into an AI tool that you like, Grok or Claude or whatever. Get in one that you like and start spending time with it. And it will start informing decisions that you could use it for. And then two, you know what your challenges are. Start figuring out ways that you can use it to address those challenges. And we've done that actually on a small level, even at My Plumber Plus, but go ahead.
Well, you said something really interesting in that, which I don't even know because you've been so lucky with your leadership. And that's that you said, don't be frightened to make a mistake. And I think a lot of places, depending on your leadership, we're frightened to make mistakes. And I think that's so key. And I think some things I've seen be really successful is going to your leadership and saying, I want to try this and I might make a mistake. What's your tolerance? What's your to see? Because you're spot on. I've seen it with, we're big fans of all of them out there, but work really closely with Chirp on a lot of companies. And I tell people that all the time, like, try a campaign, but, find out what the tolerance is. Try something new. But I think I give a ton of credit to your leadership. I mean, in addition to you, obviously, but to your leadership and their willingness to try things, test things, try new things. It's pretty unique what you guys have there for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you one example that might be of interest to you. So in ChatGPT, what we did was I was showing Phil early on how you can create custom GPTs. So basically what this is, and Google does this too, and now all of them really start doing this. They're called gems in Google. And you know this, Katie, but for those listening that might be interested, when you're engaging with ChatGPT in a prompt, by the time you're done with the prompt, you've kind of trained it to do whatever you're asking about, right? Now, in GPT, you can take that knowledge and plug it in literally into an area called knowledge, what you've trained it to do, so that the next time you open this GPT, it already is expecting what you're going to give it. Whether that is a question about, is our service, is this city in our service area? It goes, yes, I'm looking at all of your list of your service area. Yes, it is. No, it isn't, right? So simple things like that, we started testing internally. And what Phil did was he said, okay, well, let's get an account and get all the leadership team on it. So now everybody has access. And I sort of showed him what was working well for me, some use cases for GPTs. And then everybody started building up. It was kind of an assignment for us. It was a lesson. It didn't matter really what you built. It was just build one. See what it takes to build one. And so I think that is, it, as you said, like 2 years ago is like get into Chat GPT or get into an AI or an LLM. Now it's like you definitely should be doing GPTs. You definitely should be experimenting with projects, in my opinion, because what you'll find is all of that learning is actually what is becoming normal in software.
Yep.
Like new bits of software are coming out and they're all taking this form.
We've been writing code with ChatGPT. We've been writing content with Jasper. We are really heavy, obviously, because we're a big Google shop, into Gemini. I am a huge fan of Notebook LM. If you haven't tried it, by all means, get out there. You can do a really easy one with Notebook LM. Tell me what you think of this, Jason. But I love just saying, here are the news sources that I like. Give me a quick podcast in the morning, and I get a quick 2 to 3 minute summary of the place. And if I'm interested, it's just like on Google, you can connect to the links. So I can do a quick catch up and what happened with the football. I don't love baseball, but we're in the trades. There's a lot of baseball fans. And so I've got it telling me what happened in baseball the night before.
That is really smart.
It's neat. It's nice. You can, especially if you're working with people who love that stuff. So I'm a big fan of it. And to your point, just try it. Can't hurt. But I actually take it back. It can hurt. Try it with caution, because you don't want to put anything in that's proprietary unless you own the account. I will give everyone that word of caution. Always check who owns. If you don't pay for it with money, you pay for it with data. That's what I tell people all the time about everything. So.
Yeah, 100%.
Anyway, I think that's great. Again, shameless plug if you're not following Jason. He drops these kind of little tidbits. He just thinks this is him having a conversation. He has no idea how much knowledge he just dropped on everybody, which is amazing. We talked a little briefly about your leadership and their ability. I'm paraphrasing. You didn't say this, but I've been around it. their comfort at trying new things, being okay with making mistakes and learning from those. How do you approach leadership, Jason? Like, you've got a really unique position and perspective. What are some of the things that you would say, like, how you approach leadership, what you think of when you think of leadership in your company?
I love the concept of servant leadership, that idea that you can lead by example, you can assist everyone around you. It doesn't matter what your position is, it's really your goal. And that's kind of my goal in life, right? So I love that concept of servant leadership. It's very broad, but I think most people get what that is. The other thing is, I think naturally at my core, I'm an encourager. I love catching people doing something right. And I think most managers, most leaders, most people are sort of trained to catch somebody doing something wrong and correct them. And you can really make deposits in an emotional bank account with a relationship if you're taking the time to specifically catch somebody doing something right and awesome, and in that moment give them specific feedback and be sincere and do it often as much as you can. And then when you need to give a correction, they're like, I know JP likes me. I know he knows I'm doing a good job. I'm actually going to do a better job on this. I'll take this and I'll do it better. Because you've built up an emotional bank account. So I love that encouragement effort. And if more people did it, man, I think it would help with retention. I think it would help with productivity. It's not everyone is motivated purely by money.
I agree with that. It's interesting. I'm going to run this theory by you. I don't mean to keep bringing back everything to AI, but you are the AI guy in the home services space in my mind. But, I'll give you this example. I was playing with VO. For anyone who doesn't know what VO is, it's you can play with it on Google. You can type in words and it makes a video, right? So I could type in 2 people sitting, talking in their home offices about on a podcast, talking about the home services space and marketing, and it creates a video from that text. And I did one very similar to the prompt I just gave you. Said 3 women on a webinar or on a video chat talking about home services. And it created me 3 women on a little computers. It was great. But the background of one of the pictures had a cityscape. And so I said, okay, the only thing I added to the prompt, Jason, was put them on a farm or out in the country. I think I said put them in the farm country. I said put them in farm country. It's all I added to the prompt. And it made them all heavy. It converted all the women to fat. And I was like, oh, I'm from Minnesota. That was kind of an insult. But I think about this is where I'm going with this. You talked about like reward for good as opposed to like, acknowledge bad or identify bad all the time. I think that line of thinking is probably helps you with how you even engineer some of your prompts, right? Because you have to be so cognizant about what you type. I did not mean to make the women heavy. I said put them in farm country, and it made them all overweight. So like if you all those little things and how you think and how your brain's wired are going to have huge impacts in prompt engineering, I think. And you're wired so positively in all my years, and even in some bad months that we've had together. I don't think I've ever been seen you like raise an eyebrow out of anger or out of frustration. You've always been very calm, level-headed. So I wonder if that helps you with your prompts.
Well, I never thought of it that way, but maybe it does. Maybe it does. Hopefully,
well, at the very least, the when the bots all take over, you'll be on the surface side of the planet as opposed to the rest of us. They'll be
like,
forced.
Oh yeah. Jason always said thank you and please. So
I did too, because I believe in muscle memory. So I always say thank you and please, because I don't want to stop saying thank you and please in real life. But then you saw that big article where they're saying thank you and please is costing them millions of dollars in like processing and energy for the machines. Yeah. Anyway.
I agree. I love that you said that. The idea of you do it in real life. You're saying thank you and please. Why not bring it over into the other space? I don't know. I think it just is good mojo.
When Gemini and
ChatGPT
ChatGPT are overlords, I want them to at least think I was polite about it. So if you had one piece of advice to give anybody, I'm going to leave this open to you. You can either talk about home services, marketing, or AI? If you had one piece of advice, what's that piece of advice you'd give everybody to get started, either in home services, digital marketing, or AI in the space?
It's almost a repeat of what we were talking about, but because I believe it so much, is find a peer network. If you can't find one, build one, because it is a wonderful foundation to get you started in a space you might be a little bit new to, right? It'll get you past those road bumps, those potholes quicker, and better than just doing it alone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. All right, this is going to be a lightning round because we're getting towards the end of our conversation here. I'm going to ask, these are meant to be as fast or as slow as you like. Some of these can be even one word. Ready for
Okay.
this? You
Yeah,
buckle up?
let's go.
All right. No ChatGPT. I should make you put your hands up here so I can make sure you're not ChatGPT the answers.
I've been using it the whole time.
Yeah, that's right. What is your favorite way to start the day?
Okay. Favorite way to start the day. You're gonna laugh. My wife recently got me this journal. It's a 5-minute journal, and at the top of it, it has a gratitude entry. And so, I enter in the top 3 or 4 things that I'm grateful for each day. And I think it's a great way to sort of reset things and get me started on a great step, right? First step. Second thing is, I love a delicious mocha. Cafe mocha. And the third thing is, you might laugh at this too. On my drive to work, I'll turn on voice mode on ChatGPT, and with memory, it already knows where I work. It knows some of the challenges or opportunities or things I'm working on. I'll just use it to spitball ideas on the way into the office. Most of the time it's work related stuff, and then I'm super prepped for any meeting or whatever. So I use it like that. Or sometimes I just have a random idea and like, how did Duran Duran get its name? And that works too.
I love that. I'll tell you that gratitude thing I've heard many times from many people who I admire very much. I also do something very, so I don't do 3, I do 1. But I was taught that it should be very specific. And so I'm a big advocate. So I don't just say like, I'm grateful for my husband and kids. I'm grateful that my son, Mikey, my son loves musicals and musical theater. And I'm so grateful that Mikey has found musicals and loves musicals. And he is putting the effort in to audition for the play this fall. So I love that one. All right, next one. I don't think this one's fair. This one might be like Sophie's Choice for you. Ready for this one? For anyone who doesn't know Sophie's Choice, don't Google it. It'll make you sad. What's one tool or piece of technology that you cannot live without in business?
Well, I'll have to give you 2. The first one is
Sophie's Choice. Yeah.
Camp Digital. Camp
Shameless
Digital
plug.
is the first one, and it's not shameless at all. I would highly recommend it. I mean, you just got to. And then 2 would it would be ChatGPT probably.
Yeah, I love it. Greatest strength as a business leader?
I don't know, but if I had to say something, the first word that comes to my mind is just curiosity. Being curious, always trying to learn.
That's literally the word I wrote down for you, is curiosity. But you also have one of our core values at camp is grace. And I think you have unbelievable amounts of grace. And I think it makes you incredibly exciting to be around. For us, we love being around you. Everybody loves working with you. And it's a lot of it has to do with your grace. So it's very much appreciated if no one's mentioned that. One piece of advice you would give to a new entrepreneur?
Peer groups. Going back to mentors and peer groups, it's huge. And new to the space, get a network together right out of the gate that you can phone, that you can text, and get some insights.
This next question, I feel like we have to take Sam Altman off the table here.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe not, folks. There's one business leader that you could have lunch with or dinner with, dead or alive. Who would you have dinner with?
Enzo Gentonio.
Oh, look at you, Ferrari.
Yeah. Well, actually, Enzo Gentonio is my godfather.
Oh, I was thinking Enzo, but actually I think it's Lambo.
Yeah, you're thinking Enzo Ferrari,
Yeah.
He was Italian as well, and he was literally my godfather. So Enzo Gentonio, guy was awesome. He's passed away. He was like a grandfather to me, but he had a construction company and a concrete business, and I remember visiting him at his office climbing up one of those big honking trucks of his, and we still got a picture of it. But boy, if I had a chance, that'd be the one for sure.
You have an Italian grandfather who was in the construction business.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what was the famous union guy that disappeared?
Well, I can tell you that he had a literal concrete boot on his front porch. And you thought
That's
that was pretty
amazing.
funny.
I love that. I love that.
He had a great sense of humor.
If you weren't in the home services industry, where would you be?
I'd be a famous rock and roll guitar player.
I am not kidding. It's Boxcar? What is it? What is your
Squad Car 37?
Squad Car 37. Squad Car 37. Anyone listening? It's actually amazing what you do. Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
On my drive to work, I told you who I talked to. On the drive home, sometimes I'll call my parents, and I love it. I know that it's a privilege because I'm not always going to be able to do that. So I love taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I love that too, obviously. Earlier on, it will be edited out by the time anyone listens, but I got interrupted during this because my mother came over. So I feel that one. And this is the last question, and quite often the hardest for most people. So we'll give you a minute if you need it. But if you had one word to describe your business journey so far, what would that word be?
Fun.
I love that. I've not heard that one yet. I've heard a lot of similar ones, but never fun. I love that one. Well, Jason, you have been amazing. Since I have shamelessly plugged you so much, how do people follow you? How can they see what you're up to if they want to follow some of those I follow you on LinkedIn to see a lot of your AI updates. Is there another platform? Is that the best platform? What's the best way for people to learn from you?
Yeah, well, thanks for saying that. Yeah, LinkedIn is great. So look me up, Jason Price, My Plumber PLUS, and we're now part of the SELA Services group, which is really exciting too.
Yeah. Anything else? Are you big X Twitter fan? Do you do? I don't even know because I don't have Twitter. I'm terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I have sort of different personalities on different socials, right? So Squad Car 37 is my side, fun, crazy music video sort of exploration. And you can find that on all the channels. Yeah.
Okay. I think that might be the only thing I have. I think I follow you on YouTube on that one. But like there's one where like the only thing I have is your music thing. I signed up for it just for that. So, well, Jason,
Yeah,
I really, truly appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time today. I appreciate the relationship we've had for the years. And I am really grateful that you took the time. So thank you very, very much.
Thanks for having me, Kitty. It was a blast.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect with me personally, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and consider joining the CSTG Arena. As always, keep growing out there.